Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead for them and their companies. I'm your host, Michelle Saeed, and in each episode, we uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and really the strategies driving their future growth. Today, we're absolutely thrilled to have Tracy Abut, the founder and principal consultant of Accelerate Talent, joining us. With over 20 years of HR leadership in various organizations, Tracy empowers startup CEOs to build high-performing teams through tailored talent strategies, organizational design, and employee engagement solutions. So we're going to explore her founding story today, how Accelerate Talent is transforming HR for tech and various different startups, and her vision for scaling her dynamic firm. So with that being said, let's dive in. Tracy, welcome to Founders Future.
Wonderful. Thanks, Michelle. So happy to be here.
Likewise, we're absolutely thrilled to have you on the show today. So let's just start from the beginning. Take us back to what kind of inspired you in the talent strategy landscape. Maybe it was a specific problem or challenge that actually inspired you to start Accelerate Talent.
Yeah, it's funny. It feels so scary to go out on your own, right? I think the number one thing is like not having that guaranteed paycheck, but you realize guarantees are nowhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'd rather put the investment in myself. I think what I started to find is, my goodness, you think these CEOs and founders have it all figured out, right?
Mhm.
I'm convinced at this point no one has it figured out. We're all just wayfinding along the way. Look, I've been wanting to go out on my own for at least 10 years and it never really
Mm.
seemed the right time. And what I started to see was CEOs and founders that honestly thought they knew everything. This is what I'm talking about. And what I found over and over again, I was in HR in many tech firms,
Mm.
fintech, insurance tech, biotech, and I saw this common thing showing up over and over again, which is their foundations, they're starting to build them when they're way too big. Things are already starting to break too
Mm.
fast. So my whole goal was to figure out, how do I help these small, mid-sized businesses and founders start from a
Mm.
really solid framework or foundation, I should say, so
Yeah.
they can build and scale faster. That's my whole point, is like, how do we grow fast?
I love that. And I think that's so important, especially right within organizations where there's instant like that lack of importance necessarily towards employee engagement, HR, and really like creating a lot of those centers, right? So that organizations can operate efficiently and strive towards that excellence. There's always like that focus on finance and like really some of the other change management domains within companies. So let's dive into the nuts and bolts for the listeners tuning in. I'd love for you to walk us through really how Accelerate Talent generates revenue today. What is the core offer here, like that core primary service? I know there's hiring optimization. You do a lot of like leadership coaching. There's organizational design. But break down how you like structure it for some of the clients that you do work with, primarily the startups.
Yeah, I think that's so true. And just before I go there, just to pick up on that, the last thing I've realized that people want to say or use are the words HR. It's like
Yeah.
it's scary language of unknown. Somebody's going to tell me what I'm doing wrong. I think
Mhm.
what people I help them realize is that, first of all, people are their most expensive cost item and cost line. And then I
Yeah.
can help them like unlock some of that revenue so that you're retaining talent. So I know it's a bad word, but that's what I'm leaning into. So I think the number one thing that I'm helping structure my deals right now, I've got two things going on. I am a fractional head of HR.
Mhm.
So I'm coming in, I'm doing discovery in your organization, figuring out what you're doing really well, and then where some of those gaps are, so that I'm building that roadmap for you, and then coming in and helping you and your leadership team really
Yeah.
start to build out those projects and strengthen your overall organization. So I think that's super helpful, because I think people just don't know what they don't know, especially
Yeah.
when there is not expertise in the leadership team. When you have, I see this, and I'm sure people will resonate with this. There's a COO or a CFO that got handed HR.
HR. Yeah. Words out of my mouth.
It's here, take this. And they're like, I
Right.
don't know what to do with this, and they start to dig in on some things, but really
Mm,
need someone that has been there with the 20 some odd years of expertise. I've seen a lot of things, and so can really help them see around corners and figure out like what are going to be the key one or two priorities versus doing
mm,
everything at once. And I think once I started to think about helping founders and leaders build their organization, I think I unlocked one thing that I didn't realize was so important in my background that I had seen, which are integrations, so merger and acquisition
mm,
integrations, right? So being in Fortune 50 companies, 10
mm,
companies, we had the opportunity to grow by acquisition. So I was in there real time.
mm,
I think about like when I was a baby, AT&T Mobility, Singular acquired us. So I was in the data room figuring out,
mm,
okay, here is all the information that we have and help integrate our sales teams and sales organizations. So I realized I carried that throughout my career when all there is a strategy of acquiring new technology, new people,
mm,
new locations internationally. So once I started working with my clients internally, I started to realize there was a synergy between not only can I be your fractional head of HR, but I can help you integrate your organization because I think the
mm.
number one thing that people are starting to get smarter and smarter about it, that people are the value drivers of deals,
Right.
but not everyone's quite there yet. So I'm helping them figure
Mm,
out how to really get the ROI on what the deal said you were going to get, right? Um,
yeah.
you thought it was worth X, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, there's a couple of things happening. One, I'm massively losing my key talent. They're walking
Yeah.
out the
Yeah.
door. Or B, there are so many different ways that there are HR processes and programs and systems. They're all completely different. Nobody does it the same. So I can help
Yeah.
give them and make sense of what these
Yeah.
different things are and help them put a plan together.
Love that. So a lot of that focus from what it sounds like is on really more larger scale, creating a lot of that infrastructure on the HR side for organizations and then also on the fractional side. Where do you feel like you're getting the most traction from your clients? Do you feel like there's more of that demand from some of the startups on having that fractional presence or more on the kind of creating that infrastructure that you were talking about there? I'd love to learn a little bit more about
Yeah.
where you're seeing a lot of the growth primarily.
Yeah. I think the demand right now is on the fractional side of the business.
Yeah.
But what I'm actively starting to shift to, right, along my growth path is
Hmm.
really thinking about there are private equity firms with portcos that, are probably mid to lower mid
Mm.
size firms that need
Yeah.
this expertise. And the ones that are paying attention and thinking about like how can I differentiate this deal versus others,
Mm.
I'm starting to get some uptake on you're right. It is about the people, it is about the leadership
Mm.
team that you're acquiring. It is about unlocking that talent. And that comes from a really thoughtful, planful way
Mm.
of integrating post LOI
Yeah.
day one, right?
Yeah.
Because day one, these companies are ready to go. We've got
Yeah.
a communication plan, a change plan, and a roadmap already in
Mm.
place so that employees on both sides of the deal know exactly what's happening. The acquiring company, right?
Mm.
Their employees can also be a little sensitive and think about what am I getting? Am I going to lose my job? Because we always go to ourselves.
Yeah.
That's the first thing
Yeah.
we go to is, do I have a job when this all lands? That's where I'm seeing PE firms without operating partners start to realize, okay, if we're going to continue to acquire companies or want our portfolio companies to
Mm.
optimize, then
Right.
this is the type of things that we need to start thinking about to differentiate ourselves. So that's where I'm seeing a lot of traction right now.
That's interesting to hear. Now, on the productization side, it always is like a core topic we talk about on Founders Future is really like some of the ways, especially with your fulfillment model, right? Being in the fractional space, having to focus operationally in and on the business, What are some of the ways that you're thinking about evolving your fulfillment model, especially because there may be capacity constraints if you are just having a fractional presence to where it can be a little bit more sustainable and you can focus a lot more on scaling? I'd love to hear your thoughts on that as you're navigating that within the entrepreneurial landscape.
Oh my gosh, that is so real right now. I think I had, and maybe everyone does this during their kind of business journey, because
Yeah.
it will only be 2 years for me, like coming up in a month. So I've seen and felt a lot of this. But I think when I first started on my journey, I was really thinking about, okay, I just need 3 or 4 clients, and this is
Mm.
going to fulfill me, sustain me, and I'm going to be fine. And of course, the first year is around, oh shit, am I actually going to get a client?
Yeah.
And like really, you almost are relying too heavily on those early days clients to starting to shift around. Oh, now I'm starting to figure out the
Mm.
marketing. I'm figuring out the messaging. I'm figuring
Mm.
out the client pain points because that is the number one thing that I think is the hardest to figure
Yeah.
out. Talk in the language of that potential client and what they're going
Yeah.
through versus me, because it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. It doesn't matter what I'm thinking. I think I've recently gone on this. This is too small potato. This is like too small for me. I need to think big.
Yeah.
In order to grow and think about that, I need to think about like where do I want to be? Like we want to be 5 million. Who cares about
Yeah.
5,000?
Yeah.
That's nothing. So starting to realize two critical things. One, really getting a good bench of strong experts that I can
Mm.
bring in into different situations. I've got someone
Mm.
that, is very operationally minded, can really think about systems and get my
Mm.
clients on the right systems. So being able to
Mm.
tap that person in, thinking about also that partnership path, which I'm
Mm.
exploring heavily with a couple of partners right now, and figure out where can we unlock more value from our clients and going in
Yeah.
together as 3 strong partners, and what we can do and how much that multiplies, right? Like how
Yeah.
much that outreach multiplies versus just one person going along. I think I just recently made that shift of I don't just want to be a solopreneur. I
Mm.
really want to run a fantastic consulting firm. And I think that shift
Yeah.
is, I didn't expect it to happen so soon, but now I'm just
Mm.
like, okay, let's go.
Love that. And especially because you're thinking a lot about having that mindset towards scaling and really focusing on it being now an actual company, an actual systemized operational engine that will allow you to focus on, okay, being a CEO now rather than like the operator within the actual business itself.
Yeah.
Now, building on your growth, I'd love for you to walk us through how you're currently acquiring some of your clients right now. What are some of those strategies? Are you doing paid ads, LinkedIn, social media, word of mouth? Like what's been working the best for generating leads through the door?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I wish I could say that there's one magic bullet, but as we've all known and tried and
Mm.
heard, it just doesn't happen. But I did like a couple of things early on, which I would encourage every entrepreneur to do if they haven't, is literally go through your LinkedIn list of
Mm.
people that it doesn't matter how long it's been since you've worked with them. People genuinely want to hear from you. They want to know
Yeah.
what you're doing. And just that initial, hey, I'm going out on my own. Here's what I'm doing. Would you like to chat? Is
Yeah.
just that was just amazing in itself. And that's
Mm.
where I got my first couple of clients. It's just
Yeah.
literally going through that list and reaching out to people. And what I realized is so many people that you miss and you really genuinely
Mm.
want to reconnect with, and that they're such strong supporters that you had no idea.
Yeah.
They want to help. People want to help, generally.
Yeah.
They really do want to help. So went on that path. And then I will tell you, of course, I'm using LinkedIn. I don't think any of us have a choice these days. Should I say
Mm.
that?
Yeah, and is it more like manualized outreach or are you having an automated approach when it comes to LinkedIn? Is it ads? What specifically are
Yeah.
you doing there?
Yeah, no, there's a couple of things. One is genuine outreach and
Mhm.
not I because while I have Dripify campaigns to do some outreach to figure out like
Mm.
who are some clients that I need to be connected with that may
Yeah.
generate some interest. I'm right now doing R&D to figure out like what private equity firms are seeing and thinking.
Mm,
So that is a very direct outreach that I'm doing. And if anybody
mm,
wants to talk about PE mergers and acquisitions or portco integration, I'm your person. Just would love to get curious and find out what people are thinking and
mm,
feeling so that I can pull that together and figure out like
yeah.
here's a solution for you. So really structured outreach, I would
Mhm,
say, but then using Dripify to keep those campaigns going while I'm not here. So
mm,
the messaging, the outreach, and of course I personally respond to everyone that responds, but just having a tool work for me so that
mm.
that I can balance that.
Being in, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, so I love the fact that really having that approach to scalability on the acquisition side, from what it like sounds like, I'd like to hear a little bit more about kind of some of the ways you're also creating predictability, consistency, and reliability when it comes to lead gen. Are you looking into anything on the paid ad side to reach sort of that scalability? What's been like your thought process there? I'd love to learn a little bit more
Yes.
about how you're navigating it.
No, it's a great question. And I feel like paid ads always seems like a really good idea, but it feels very
Yeah,
overwhelming to me, to be quite
yeah,
honest. Is that actually going to get me in touch in front of the people that I want to get in front of?
yeah.
So I will say there's been a bit of trepidation there
Mm,
on thinking about, oh, is am I gonna spend on this and get return?
yeah.
So I have not explored that, which is
Mm,
interesting. And maybe it is, it just feels like maybe that's a part of the growth path too, right?
yeah.
It's
Finding
like,
ideas. Yeah,
and am I big enough for that to make sense for me? Right?
yeah.
So it is, it's an interesting question. And I don't know what you're seeing with entrepreneurs that are
Yeah.
starting to scale and thinking about that.
Yeah, I think it's a good topic to discuss, especially not shying away from it, especially because like now we're seeing, especially with building systems, being an entrepreneur, focusing on, okay, how can we start to get our messaging out there so that there's more solution awareness? Maybe they're not positioned. A lot of people, when you reach out, you've probably seen this, they don't even know that they need like a fractional HR presence to begin with.
Totally.
And it's okay, let's use like the paid ad strategy, not necessarily to get a lead first and foremost, but bring that awareness like to light, right? Yeah, no, let's just getting your
It's
thoughts there on that front.
It's education, right? I mean,
Yeah,
it's complete education and it's that whole you don't know what you don't know.
yeah, you don't know what you don't know. Exactly.
So how can you help those people find? And to your point,
Yeah,
I would never expect a direct I shouldn't say never, but you don't
yeah,
expect a direct conversion. Me
yeah,
personally, I think about building those relationships and really helping people think about things a little bit different and being their go-to
yeah,
kind of research. I feel that served me a lot better
mhm,
and helping them solve problems because that's what I do all day, every day,
yeah,
right? Is think
yeah,
about what are the business problems and how can I kind of help you think about the people solutions that are going to get you there. So
yeah,
that's like that outreach is all about what are the problems you're having? How can I
mm,
help? And start
yeah,
thinking about that. And then to your point, they start to get educated on, oh, there may be tried and true things and best
yeah,
practices in which I
yeah.
can unlock and figure out how is it that I can think about this a little bit differently and bring in expertise.
Yeah, 100%. Really just creating a lot of that connection first and really developing those relationships. Like now on that subject, on the sales side of things, walk us through that process. Is it just Tracy right now, like kind of doing the sales calls? You have a sales team in place helping with certain components like outreach, business development. How is all of that like currently structured within Accelerate Talent?
Yeah. It's so first I will say this. I have many, not many, I have many friends, peers that have gone out on their own and are like, this isn't for me. This is not my bag.
Mm,
Do not want to do sales. But just what we were talking about, I have, for whatever reason, I actually enjoy it because it is about solving business problems. Yes,
yeah.
there is a methodology for sales processes. Do
Mm,
not get me wrong. That's not what I'm saying. However, but it is all about your mindset and how you approach it. Um,
yeah.
Getting that because there's like can be a dirty sales is a dirty word, just like HR.
Yeah.
But what I will say is one of the things I'm lucky, my husband is has a sales background. So
Mm,
he is helping me do my business development outreach along with
mm,
myself. So it is nice to be able to tap into an expert to
mm.
figure out like who are the people that we should go after? What are the
Yeah.
types of clients? Let's put a
Mm,
structured process together. So that just happened recently. So now
mm,
I have a little bit of firepower with me to start thinking bigger, to start
yeah.
growing how we think about the sales process. But right now, I've got a couple of things going. I've got a website that has kind
Mm,
of a quick little sales quiz or tool because
mm,
it's a culture sync assessment. Looking to revamp that and develop that and
mm,
update it for 2.0 because now it feels like when you're out on your own, a year feels like a lifetime.
mm. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And a
100%.
million things change because it's amazing when you're trying to figure everything out on your own, how fast just things develop and change over time and your perspective changes over time. But yeah, so we're up leveling the sales process right now.
Mm.
But right now it's me.
Yeah, yeah. And I was just about to say that, especially as you're thinking about moving forward with scaling and growing the company, are you looking at having someone on the business development side, maybe bringing in someone, a closer, someone to help with a lot of that so that you can focus more on the founder level work? What kind of is like that next step for you? Or is it just, no, I want to do all the sales calls. We're going to focus on internalizing it first. How is that kind of working right now?
Yeah, I think I will always do the sales calls. I can't imagine a world in which someone, because this is like your background and strategic expertise for helping them
Yeah,
understand their problems. So
yeah.
I would be shocked if we were speaking in a year from now that I'm like, oh,
Mm,
I've outsourced all of that, someone else is doing it. But I think
yeah.
back to the point of utilizing your tools, like the tools that you have
Mm,
to do that outreach and automate as many things as possible is really critical. And then I think down the road, figuring out where we can go, like I said, with partnerships and referrals, referral agreements, partnerships, like having
mm,
those in place so that, you're helping each other. I
mm,
think that's going to be the next phase. And then we'll see where it goes after that. But
mm,
I think once I can help more and more private equity companies
mm,
with their portfolio
mm.
companies. That is a tricky bit. Once you get in, you're in, but PE firms are pretty closed off.
Yeah.
Once you get in there and show what you've done and how you've unlocked value within their portfolio companies, I feel like
Mm.
that's where it's going to take off long term.
Yeah, 100%. Now, I like to ask every guest who hops on, if you had like a genie in the room and you snapped your fingers and all of a sudden you have all these unlimited resources, what would you implement immediately to accelerate the growth of, yeah, really accelerate talent?
Ooh, it's an excellent question. You, oh man. I don't know. I'm not sure. It's if it, I feel like there's not one thing. So,
Hmm.
but if you had the ultimate money, I think we don't have corporate money. So I would be
Hmm.
at every conference. I would be in front of as many people all the time, networking, talking to people, speaking at different events in which now is very much pay to play. So if
Yeah.
you gave me a biz dev bucket of money,
Hmm.
I would figure out how to use that pretty darn fast because I feel like that's always challenging, especially when you're dealing with founders and bankers that have these it feels like unlimited funds and trying to play alongside them.
I love that. I love the fact that you're thinking a lot on like that biz development side of things, really focusing on how we can start to get the word out there. Really, how can we actually start to create more of like that presence in that sense? Now, one last question as we wrap up. What's the top priority? What's the goal going into 2025, that latter half? Any revenue targets, any specific milestones you're looking to hit? Would love for you to share a little bit on that with the listeners.
Yeah. Yeah, right now we're with my partners on the M&A side of the house. We are trying to figure out right now who are our personas and building out that true marketing plan with them.
Mm,
And there's three of us and we probably have like 100 years of experience together.
yeah,
But figuring out like how do we genuinely bring our expertise out to market and just go really figure out how do we go up market
yeah,
and start helping these Fortune 500s. We all have background in Fortune 500 companies. And so looking to go upstream is where
yeah,
we're headed because what we're finding more and more is these HR organizations, same, doing more with less, right? So they
Yeah.
need expertise to come in and help them integrate long term because it doesn't
Mm.
happen overnight.
Yeah.
These are 6 month, 9 month, 1 year type of projects. Yes, can we do due diligence and get you a quick and dirty red flag list in
Mm.
a couple of weeks? Sure. But in order to get real value, it's like helping you think about this more holistically and what your
Mm.
organization is going to look like on the other side when everything
Yeah.
is like fully integrated.
I love that. I love that the fact that you're focusing on really how do we actually systemize, right? How do we actually create that center of domain for you so that you can focus more on like that fulfillment, right? Bringing in the experts, the partnership side of things. On that note, that wraps up another inspiring episode of Founders Future. Tracy, thank you so much for joining us. It was an absolute honor and pleasure having you on the show, sharing your incredible journey and insights. And for anyone listening, if you would like to get in touch with her and learn a little bit more about Accelerate Talent, we'll link the LinkedIn profile in the summary below. And you can visit her website as well. We'll link that in the Spotify summary. And to our listeners, if you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe to Founders Future wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. You can also find some more resources and insights at closers.io, where we're dedicated to helping businesses scale and grow through trained appointment setters and world-class marketing and sales systems. Until then, everyone, keep climbing, and we'll see you all on the next one.